Welcome to the California Maverick, a channel fighting for a free and sane California. And here we go again. Another California government agency has lost hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars. And this time, it's through the California Public Employees Retirement System, CalPERS. As usual, no one can tell you how or why the money vanished, where it went, but I can tell you that the California taxpayer will be on the hook for it. We got a lot to get into. CalPERS recently reported that it lost 71% of its $468 million initial investment into the Clean Energy and Technology Private Equity Fund. The 71% roughly equates to $330 million. Gone, vanished. And before you say anything, I know you're probably going to say, isn't CalPERS just state employees? Yes. However, these are not just state employees. They are our first responders, law enforcement, correctional officers, CAL FIRE firefighters. And those are also taxpayer dollars because who pays these state employees and these first responders?
Yes. CalPERS decided that because they were underfunded, this was several years ago, that they would do private equity instead of equity that was out in the markets where it was transparent. They would do private equity and they would make more money with all these experts who were advising them on private equity. And then they said they're going to use a little more private equity. They increased the percentage once or twice. And now we get some transparency at last, even though the law prohibits transparency. Kenneth Schrupp, who is a great reporter with the Center Square, uncovered the fact that CalPERS lost 71% of its investment in a clean energy fund, a $468 million investment. They lost 71% of it, and they paid $22 million in fees for this wonderful advice to do this.
Hey, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It helps me out a lot, and I will greatly appreciate it. Now on to the video. When I looked at the CalPERS website to try to do a little bit more digging and try to find more information on it, what I found out is that CalPERS says that their initial investments in climate solutions are nearing $60 billion. But how does an investment grow to $60 billion when your initial stake lost 71%? The math isn't really mathing right now. There's something not right, there's something missing, and someone isn't being honest.
You know, this is publicly funded if it doesn't keep up. The taxpayers are on the hook for these pensions. And so to have CalPERS lose money in private equity on these green energy investments, obviously what's happening is regular, ordinary commercial investors are not interested in throwing their money into these things. So who's going to invest in all this green energy tech? Why, the California-backed pension funds will invest in it. And so just as we lost $500 million on Solyndra of the federal tax money when President Obama put us into that, this is another one, a green energy fund that CalPERS invested in, private equity, and we don't know exactly how they lost it, but it's worth a lot less than what they put into it.
But again, this isn't the first time. This isn't something new. California politicians and bureaucracies are constantly losing money, misappropriating or mismanaging funds all the time, all over the state. And I've covered a few of these, and I mention them over and over again in a lot of my videos. $24 billion to solve homelessness. The $3 billion missing from the cap and trade program, which increases our gas prices. Billions of dollars wasted on the high-speed rail to nowhere. Billions of dollars given to state-funded healthcare for illegal immigrants, which they say isn't happening. It's a recurring pattern over and over again. And they're either covering it up, lying, or just stretching the truth, not giving you the full details or manipulating what's really going on.
So were any rules broken here, or this was just bad judgment and politically driven investing?
Politically driven investing for sure. And I don't think any laws were broken because they did get permission to do a larger percentage in private equity. But see, the trouble is they're chasing their returns with, good money after bad. The more risk they take to try to make up their losses, the worse it gets. And if they had just done something that was steady and boring and not politically involved the way other pension funds do, they would have had steady, boring much better results. If they'd been in the S&P 500, they'd have been much better off.
CalPERS itself admitted that its pension benefits are only funded 79%, which means that the rest of the 21% falls on the taxpayer. And what's crazy is that historically, CalPERS always invested in public equity, like the S&P 500 index funds, a safe, low-risk bet. And if they stuck to that, they would have made roughly $3 billion. They wouldn't be down $330 million. Instead, they funneled and pushed a bunch of money into private equity clean energy ventures. And I guess it kind of made sense early on when the last administration pumped a bunch of federal dollars into it, which basically artificially inflated the whole field and market.
So it's not just that they didn't get the gain they were expecting. The pension money of California public sector workers, that's what this is for, isn't it?
Right. And it's underfunded. So they're trying to, I guess we're trying to make it up. But really, I think what it's about is trying to support this political agenda of unrealistic technology for green energy. So that the governor can stand there and say, oh, it's working and it's funded and look at all these great companies and the future is bright. And actually the future is lights out because a lot of this stuff doesn't work.
And that leads to another thing. California is always bragging about the fourth largest economy and how great the economy is doing, I guess for stockholders and politicians. But a lot of the California economy is fake, like the clean energy industry. It's been artificially inflated by you, the taxpayer.
What's the connection between the governor and CalPERS in terms of this, the CalPERS investment decisions supporting the governor's political priorities?
It's always very political. The governor has something to do with how big those pensions are when they negotiate all of these memoranda of understanding for the different union bargaining units. So it's all tied up in government and overseen by elected officials. So it's understood, I think, that this is the goal. And just the fact that they were trying to put money into a clean energy fund really tells you. Very often you'll see them refuse to invest in particular companies, fossil fuel companies or tobacco companies or whatever the villain of the week is in politics. Oh, well, we're divesting from that. And so they're divesting from things that are reliably producing income and growth. And then they're investing in things that are very risky, which is fine, but not with pension money. Pension money has to be invested very conservatively.
So California officials continue to promote this idea of green energy and clean energy. And they sit there and tell you how it's booming and doing so great. But the reality is that the market has been flatlining and even declining. Solar sales have been going down. EV car sales have been going down. So my question is why did they invest so much money into this? Was it to make the numbers look better, to push their agenda, to push their narrative? Is it to funnel money to their political donors and special interest groups that fund their campaigns? Did these politicians like Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom, who have been known to benefit from insider trading, was that what this was about? We honestly don't know. Really, there's not enough information coming out on this, and no one's covering it. But one thing's for sure, somebody got really rich, and it always falls on the taxpayer. And that's what these politicians do, especially here in California, because we have a Democrat supermajority. They use government institutions to funnel and launder money. And it happens constantly. Some government program, agency, committee, or board loses a ridiculous amount of money to the tune of hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, and their response is always the same. Well, we don't know what happened. I don't know. And no one talks about it. And when you ask Governor Newsom, who everyone seems to be praising and glazing for a presidential run, his answer is always the same. He's never responsible. He always claims it's outside of my executive purview. It's someone else's responsibility, or just denies its existence or any knowledge of its existence.
So what's the outcome here? Is there going to be any accountability?
Probably not. Probably not.
That's just California, isn't it?
It's just California, but it certainly is an important issue of whether the pensions are being well managed and whether politics is creating bad investment decisions. If the private market isn't investing in it, that's a signal that there's an issue with it, because everybody in the private markets wants to make money. So if the government investors with the tax dollars are investing in things that the market has rejected, That is a giant red light flashing. We also saw this with wind energy. There was something in a package of bills some time ago that said the CPUC would allow ratepayers to pay the cost of energy that was generated by offshore wind, no matter what it cost, because the problem was that investors were not providing enough support for these offshore wind projects. So California stepped in and said, well, we're going to guarantee that market. Well, what does that mean? That means the ratepayers are going to pay too much, and probably it's not going to go well.
It's all such a scam.
And the California supermajority, the Democrat supermajority, always shields itself from any type of accountability or oversight. And the majority of the voter base here enables this behavior over and over and over again and allows them to get away with it. Please see Prop 50. Because it's either a Republican smear or Republican propaganda. The same institutions responsible for oversight and accountability are part of the machine that benefits from the lack of oversight. The people who should be holding others accountable are the same people who need to be held accountable. So nothing ever changes. And the California taxpayer and the California citizen is the one that suffers and has to foot the bill. Fortunately, Assemblymember Carl DeMaio has called for a federal investigation into the CalPERS investment loss. I don't know whether they're going to look into it or not. That still remains to be seen, but at least there's someone trying to do something. And it seems like he's the only one actually doing something. I don't know what it's going to take, but something has to change. This has to stop. We cannot continue to lose billions of dollars with no explanation, no accountability, no consequences. And you can sit there and rationalize and deflect all you want because you don't want to admit it's your team and you're maybe backing the wrong horse. But the truth is simple. We have either extremely incompetent people in all levels of this bloated government bureaucracy, or, which I think is the obvious, is there's some serious corruption going on. And they're using all these government agencies and programs to launder and funnel money to themselves, their friends, and their special interest groups. If you like this video, leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.